when I talk about this, I say there are certain technological thresholds you have to have crossed if you're an extraterrestrial interstellar civilization. Those technologies have, the good news is we understand them and they could be used to great purpose on Earth. Energy generation, healing, all kinds of things, medical. But right now they're in the hands of the worst group of sociopaths that have ever lived, and they dwarf by far Stalin or Hitler in terms of their intention and their capabilities, way beyond. It's not the buffoonery of the Third Reich. It's just the high-tech, very dangerous end. Now, this to me is, as a doctor, I tell people this is like a knife, or I can use a knife to put butter on my bread, or I can use it to slit your throat. Now, so technology is neutral. It's the consciousness and the intention of those who wield it, who have it. Mm-hmm. In this situation right now, it's the worst of all worlds, because you have the most amazing, wonderful technologies in the hands of the worst group ever that have quite a bit of malice and intention. So this is what I think has to be fixed, and that's why the Disclosure Project is trying to move this along. First, yes, now we've established UFOs are real. Well, that was known in the 50s, 60s, 40s. But now what's behind all that? Unpacking all the detail. And the reason the scientific end of this is so important, even for operations, is that this group of illegal covert human projects, they have surveillance, communication systems, transport systems, and sciences that are. Ben Rich, the week before he died, told James Goodall, you heard him at our conference, one of the last men to talk to him. He says, anything that you've seen in Star Trek and can imagine, we've done at the Lockheed Skunk Works. And he said, not at Area 51, but at the desert base, the underground facility.
Let's get into the Disclosure Project. Mm-hmm. For 100 plus years, advanced technology has been seized, isolated, and hidden away. This has suppressed the advancement of technology and human progress. The Disclosure Project archives include government documents from the United States, Canada, Australia, Russia, and the UK, 145 top secret facilities and base maps, 755 now, witness accounts from military, corporate, and government sources, 121 UFO crash retrievals.
Yep, that's all in our archive.
What are some of the 145 top secret facilities that you know about?
Well, everyone talks about Area 51. That's an old one. It's still operational. And particularly, S3, S4, Pahut Mesa, out in Groom Lake.
Are these in the U.S.?
Yeah, this is Nellis.
Okay.
That one. And that's operational, has been since the 50s. A more state-of-the-art one is actually in the Dugway Proving Grounds, which is in Utah.
Is this the one that you disclosed at the conference?
Yes.
I'm going to put a picture up of it right now.
And so that facility, there's something called the Avery sector, Avery, where there are these assets. There's an extraterrestrial vehicle that was being studied there when one of our witnesses, I think he was there in 2009, when that object had been downed. They're downed by these electromagnetic pulse weapons because the ET craft are completely electromagnetic. So, a kinetic weapon would not be so effective, missile or a laser. But an electromagnetic pulse or scalar weapon stuns them and they'll come down. Sometimes they crash, sometimes they're intact. If they're intact, then you have the whole thing to study. And that's where this man was in a facility where they had an entire intact one. And then, there's a vast underground facility there.
So they're downing these aircraft with basically a directed EMP weapon.
Yes, but are more sophisticated than the legal constitutional government would know about, because you're going to add to normal EMP, let's call it a supercharged part of it that's scalar, what I mentioned before, where it's a point that goes out longitudinally without the waveform.
Okay.
So that's why, light propagates at 186,000 miles every second. These are not limited that way because it's a point that goes out straight line. See what I'm saying?
Yes.
So now you're exceeding the speed of light.
It's essentially teleportation.
That's different. We'll get into that if you want to. But no, I'm talking about just a type of energy weapon. Mm-hmm. But it can also be used for communication. And I think in the old days, in the early 20th century, mid 20th century, there were people who stumbled across. And Tesla wrote about scalar waves.
So hold on.
Can be used for
this
other.
This isn't a point A to point B line. It's not linear. It's not a linear weapon. If I shoot a gun, the bullet goes. You can see it,
right?
And if I shot a laser, you could see it. Travel from point A to point B. Are you saying that these weapons do not?
Well, they go from point A to point B, but bypassing linear space-time, meaning they're in the entangled quantum.
Okay.
So quantum entanglement basically is where every point in space and time is connected through what's called quantum entanglement. Mm-hmm. So when you have a quantum scalar weapon, then you're able to target an object at multiples of the speed of light. And those weapons they're very dangerous because one of the things we have to be careful of is while these civilizations that are extraterrestrial are, to me, they're the equivalent of Gandhi, that they haven't struck back at all. But I'll be honest with you, the more these weapons get perfected and you get into multiple generations of them, the more humans are a risk to other planets.